There's so many different ways to thaw a steak, and we've tried them all. We're going to walk through the 5 most popular methods and find out which will give you the best eating experience. Here in the test kitchen at Certified Angus Beef, we love to experiment to find the best techniques. That way we do the work so you don't have to. First is a fast thaw in warm water. Second is a fast thaw in cold water. Third will be a slow thaw overnight in the refrigerator. Fourth will be a room temperature thaw, and we're even going to use one of those fancy thawing plates. And finally, the microwave. So let's get these going and find our favorite method. First, we have our steak that was thawed quickly in warm water. You can see that the marbling has a yellow hue to it. That's because the fat is warmed up as it thawed, and the texture all over is fairly soft. It took 22 minutes to thaw, and the external temp came up to 80 degrees. Now we have our steak that was thawed quickly in cold water. You can see the marbling's a lot better here. That's because it's still nice and white, therefore the color really pops against the red. It's a lot more firm to the touch because it stayed pretty cold while thawing, and you see the fat along the side hasn't turned yellow. It took a little over an hour, but the exterior stayed around 50 degrees. This is the steak thawed in the refrigerator overnight. This is my preferred way to thaw a steak for maintaining quality. You can see all that nice firm marbling, and it maintained a nice shape. This took 18 hours to thaw, but stayed at a cool 36 degrees. Here we have our steak that was thawed at room temp on the thaw plate. Here again, the fat stayed nice and cold, and it maintained quality much like the previous steak. It also stayed nice and firm, and took 3 hours to thaw and came up to 47 degrees. You could use an aluminum sheet pan to thaw if you don't have a thaw plate. Finally, we have the microwave steak. You can see the juices we're already losing in the process. It was thawed unevenly and cooked at the smaller end while just warming through the center. It only took 6 minutes and 40 seconds, but was it worth it? Here we've got all of our steaks from the different thawing techniques. Here is the one that we thawed directly on a plate at room temp, and it's still a little frozen, so it's getting kicked out of this experiment because the one that was thawed on the aluminum thawing plate came out much better and much quicker. So we'll sear these up and see what the differences are. All right, now you can see the results. We've taken all the steaks, cooked them to 125 and let them rest. So they've all come up to 130 degrees, which is perfect for me. You can see there are some visual differences. The microwave steak got a pretty decent sear, but it seems to dry out a little bit. I'm assuming that's because it was kind of half cooked when we got it searing. These two are looking pretty nice and plump, and these two have kind of flattened out a little bit. So they don't look quite as nice as my numbers 3 and 4 here, but we're gonna cut in and even take a taste and really see how these all performed. So, start with number 1 here. Okay, that's pretty nice. We got a good doneness. Pretty through and through there. I like that. So, similar, good doneness. I think they're still both looking pretty juicy. Now this is where we start getting into the slower thaw. First 2 were under running water. Ooh, number 3 is looking real nice. That looks real fresh. This is the one we experimented with the thaw plate. And I'm not gonna lie, I've never used one of those before today. I've seen them on TV just like most people, and I wanted to give it a shot. So, and you know what? It looks like it performed really, really well. I like that. We have our hero here, the microwave steak. Let's see how you performed. Sad, not as sad as maybe I had imagined, but it is definitely not evenly cooked. You got a part here. It's looking pretty nice and medium rare, but definitely parts are well done. And just by looking, these were thawed in water. They look good. They look a little looser in texture. Now these two were thawed at a slower rate. This one overnight in the refrigerator and this one on the thaw plate. These really look the best in texture. I'm pretty happy with those. And then the microwave one is just horribly uneven. There is some medium rare, so I wouldn't kick this one completely out, but it's not looking like my favorite. So I'm gonna go through and just try a little bite of each one now. Pretty juicy. It's pretty good. I don't think it retained as much of its natural juices. It's a little bit, like the first it's pretty juicy, then it dries out a little bit. All right, so this is in the cold running water. Texture similar, but it's keeping its natural juices more. A lot more. So definitely prefer the cold water to the warm water. They both did their job, but for just pure texture, that's definitely a winner. So number 3, this is the overnight in the fridge. Much better texture. Retaining a lot of its natural juices. Honestly, I wouldn't know that was a frozen steak. That's really solid. Now the Thaw plate. This is kind of my, the surprising hero of the group by visuals. Let's see how it tastes. Very surprising. That's really good. These two, almost indistinguishable. They're very, very good. Now microwave. It's not horrible. It's actually not too bad. It's weird. Definitely weird. It's juicy in parts and mealy and dry in other parts. Just very uneven. Off flavors, not too much. Doesn't taste like a fresh steak, but surprisingly palatable. I mean, it's still a decent steak. It cooked up to medium rare. Just the unevenness really gets to me because some of it's very mealy and overcooked and some of it's nicely done. So would not recommend, but in a pinch, totally viable option. So here are our clear winners, and slow and steady always wins the race. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time here in the test kitchen at Certified Angus Beef.